Today is January 30th, 2016. I am a student at my local high school and I am doing a senior project. For my senior project, I have written a novel, and one of the requirements is videos for evidence that I have actually worked on the project. What I have chosen to do is I will explain how to pronounce a lot of the names and words because I use a lot of unusual spelling in it for names of places, things, insults, things like that. First, I'm going to start with regions. Now, in general, the word for earth is Erath, and I chose this because it looks more feminine to me. The sun is usually referred to as Sol or Stare, or Solstare is one word. Now, of areas, there is the main continent, which is Ers, which is where my story takes place. There is a land bridge where it's called Rom, which connects to Ninska. There is Vars, which is an island off to the side. Some smaller islands known as the Lonely Isles, and their names are Mer, Vish, and Nerm. Now, the unusual spelling does, of course, constitute that it would be hard to pronounce certain words, because the animals are anthropomorphic, so they tend to have more of a growl to them. Down in the south, there is the frozen area, which would be kind of like Antarctica, but it's known as Ravark. Now, in the book, there is an ancient language that they constitute in a lot of their words, which is called Skyscript. Now, there is a title mentioned in one of the stories about one of their heroes, and it's Sethran. There's also an insult, Velrath, and then there's the word Nidrin, which is kind of like a word for dinosaur, or prehistoric lizard. One of the areas that is named with this ancient language is Caerth Agrav, which means Caerth's grave. Now, moving on to the names of characters. The main character is Surus, not Sirius. The reason it is Surus is because you can pronounce the I or the U towards the end. Her name in the ancient language would be Surin. Then there's the ancient form Daniel, which is just Daniel, and Morgaine, which is Morgan. Mason is still just Mason despite the double N's. Zev, X-E-V, is Zev. The X takes on the Z sound. There's a character named Gerth Akem. Now, Gerth is a little harder because you're going to say Girth, but it's Gerth Akem. There's Eradicraz, Strog. There's a character named after the southern continent, Ravark. And then there's his brother Vars. There's Lane, but the short version of his name is Lay, which sounds different than Lane. Then there's Nikolai, and he's also known as Nilai. Now, going more into the prehistoric or the characters that are the background, there's Anastashia. Now, to fix the pronunciation a little bit, I put an H to help with the pronunciation, so it's a Shia at the end. Her best friend's name is Nua. There is also Krozkal, who is a dark bird, which can be a crow, raven, or a hybrid of the two. And then there's the character she fought named Kerth. Now, back to some of the other real-world names. There's Cherm, and he is the son of Vel, as it is mentioned. There's Kol, which kind of sounds like Dole, and it's kind of spelled like the Egyptian word Kol. Arachnar. And then there are three people who are mentioned in the epilogue. There's Rius. Now, it looks like Rius, or you think it's like Surus, Rus. It's actually pronounced Rius. Normally, there would be some sort of apostrophe between Ri and Us, and maybe some other letter in there. But because he is named after Surus, his name is Rius. He has a younger sister named Samtha, and he also has an uncle who he's not related to named Urek. And that's most of the names. There's also some side characters mentioned that aren't really gone in depth with, but I figured I'd mention their names. There's Mitch. It looks like Mish, but it's Mitch, despite there not being a T. There's Nera, and there's Tig. That is pretty much all the names that I have mentioned here. There are some other names that I may do another video where I will mention their pronunciation, but for now, those are the main pronunciations.